So it says we are going live in 3, 2. All right, and we are live. Good morning, everyone, or good day whenever you're watching. This is the Bite Back Tour in the city of Laverne. And we have a jam-packed schedule here for you today. So let's start off with some introductions in this Family Feud, Brady Bunch kind of a circle. Let's go to Pablo. Introduce yourself and your title.
Hi everyone, I am the communication specialist here at the district.
Okay, and Ali?
Hi everyone, I'm the outreach assistant here at the district. I'm also currently in front of Laverne City Hall, constantly getting stopped by residents. So it's really good. We have very inquisitive residents and I'm super excited to be here today.
Awesome, live in the field. Stephen?
Everyone, I work in the operations department and I'm a vector control specialist.
All right, and Marco?
Hi, I'm Marco Gaitan, the Vector Control Specialist 3 with our Operations Department.
Okay, and then Jimena?
Hi, everyone. My name is Jimena. I'm an assistant vector ecologist for the city of Laverne in the surveillance department.
And then finally, Trustee Elise Rasmussen.
Good morning, everyone. Elise Rasmussen. I am the Board of Trustee representing the city of Laverne with the San Gabriel Valley Mosquito Vector Control District.
And who is our special young guest that you have?
Yes, can't forget. This is my son, Caleb. Thank you for letting him join. He wants to learn all about how he can bite back.
Love it.
He's 3 months old today and he's joining us. I'm on maternity leave, so I appreciate you letting him join.
Of course. Happy 3-month birthday, Caleb. And we'll make you a bite back champion very soon. All right, let's get started. Big news, shouldn't be too big if you are now watching at the tail end of summer, but West Nile virus is circulating in our environment. So it's considered widespread at this point, and it is it's really thanks to the birds and the mosquitoes in our environments, spreading that around. And unfortunately, because of the way we've urbanized, birds are not as plentiful. So mosquitoes will bite us and transmit or spread the virus to people when they bite. They can also transmit the virus to horses. Luckily, horses do have vaccines, so lucky them. For us, the best thing that we can do is to just make sure that we do not have or we do not receive any bites from these mosquitoes. We'll get into more details as to how you can better protect yourself against the mosquitoes that can spread West Nile virus, and also against the black and white little mosquitoes that people have been calling ankle biters or Aedes mosquitoes. So we'll get into that a bit. But first, if you're just tuning in, this is the Bite Back Tour in the city of Laverne. If you're watching us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and also on our website. Feel free to drop in a comment or question down below if you're watching on our website or anywhere in the comment section, wherever it appears on the social media platform you're watching on. But let's dive into a little bit more about us as an agency. We do a lot of work here in mosquito control, and a lot of it is behind the scenes. I'm going to start off by passing the baton off to Jimena, who will talk a little bit about what they do in surveillance. Jimena, take it away.
Sure, thank you. So surveillance does the job of placing traps out in the city of Laverne, and we're out there collecting insects, specifically mosquitoes, so that we can identify the types of mosquitoes we have so that we know what kinds of diseases we are at risk for. We know the abundance, so the amount of mosquitoes that are around, which helps us direct operational forces. And we also test these mosquitoes so that we can know whether there is viruses around. So we do test for West Nile virus, we test for SLE, we test for dengue, Zika, and chikungunya. So it just depends on what mosquito we collect, and that's going to determine what test we test them for.
Thank you, Jimena. And these traps that you're setting out in the community, we have quite a few questions from residents that have asked, are these the same kind of traps that can just trap all the mosquitoes out of their yards and be bite-free?
We wish that there was a trap that could catch all of the mosquitoes, because then there wouldn't be any. But unfortunately, most traps will only collect a very small sample of the mosquitoes that are actually out there. So what we do is we do our best to lure as many mosquitoes from a surrounding area by using an attractant that's very specific to the type of mosquito that we want to attract to the trap. But they will not remove every single mosquito. It will not get rid of a mosquito problem. That's actually why we work in conjunction with the operational department, which actually works to control these mosquitoes, their abundances.
All right, cool.
And
Thank you.
Jimena, I saw that we actually had a positive in early August, I think August 2nd, right, in the city of Laverne for 2021.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so luckily with Jimena and her team's work, it's all about taking a snapshot of where we are, especially in Laverne. And unfortunately, West Nile virus is endemic. We're going to see it pop up every year in our traps when we trap for these mosquitoes, or even in the dead bird. So if you see any dead birds in your community, definitely report them to the state bird hotline, westnile.ca.gov. It's a great way for us to figure out where West Nile virus is and where it may potentially be spreading in our region. So it's pretty clear that Jimena, you and your team are gathering a ton of data, and we're funneling that to operations and communications. So I'm going to toss it over to Stephen, who works in operations. Stephen, what do you use with that data, and how does it help you out day to day when you're protecting the residents of Laverne?
Levy, I actually think Stephen isn't with us.
Yeah, I just received a message from Stephen. His iPad was heating up, so he'll log back in just a few minutes. Okay,
no problem. Marco, do you want to just give a quick spiel on just a little bit of the data that your team uses out in operations?
Absolutely, Levy. Thank you for the introduction. So typically what we do, my mic is, is my mic muted?
No, you're good. I hear you.
No. Oh, okay. Sorry. It looked like it was muted right now. But yeah, typically what we do is we take all that data that the surveillance department gives over to us. And what our operation crew does is they'll go out to these areas, they'll canvass, they will visit existing sites, any sort of inactive sites, bringing inspections and treatments up to date, and just making sure that, all sources are maintained and taken care of. So again, all that information that we receive from the surveillance department is very important. And, we get it on a weekly basis, and it's constantly being updated. And, our crews are out there just making sure everything's taken care of.
Awesome. Thank you. And Stephen's going to be jumping back in a sec. In terms of what types of sources you guys tackle, what are some common stuff you guys see out in the public?
It can be as small as a 1 square foot drain in someone's lawn, all the way up to a large swimming pool, at a vacant property. So that's why it's important, we have people out there keeping an eye out for us and making sure if they see something that they reported of us, and that way we can, make sure that we can take care of it and, treat it or communicate with the resident of the communities on, like what they need to do to make sure that it's not a problem in the future.
Cool. Stephen, I see you just jumped back in. We're just talking about how some of the data is being used in operations. Is there anything particular in Laverne that you may have noticed, or maybe there's a tip to Laverne residents you want to give regarding their personal property and what they can do around the home?
Yeah, sorry about that. The iPad overheated for a second. Yeah, Laverne is it's a good mix. It's not a very dominant, like only residential or kind of like concrete jungle kind of area. There's some good, more natural areas up north. There's heavy residential kind of in the middle, and then kind of have that mix with other like public kind of areas like drains and gutters. But typically for Laverne, the biggest thing I always try to focus on is having people just making sure they check their own properties, because it's very some of the areas are very lush, and with that you always have your resting mosquitoes going to those cool places, and usually people are going to be where there's cool areas as well. So I always try to enforce the checking of their own property, just the smaller things. Also wearing the repellent, just because of that lush environment. The mosquitoes are going to just automatically go, they're more attracted to those areas. So I try to, depending on the data we get from surveillance, if I have to focus more residential where we're getting more either West Nile or 80s presence, I kind of tailor the information to what's going to help the residents the most there. And that's typically just going over the yards, combing through, make sure everything's okay. And then also just wearing repellent and applying it correctly, and using it at the right time of day as well.
Right, thank you, Stephen. And based on all the discussion so far, it sounds like we don't have quite a mosquito season as in 3 months. It kind of spans out over many months. So we usually kick it off, late spring, early summer with West Nile virus or the mosquitoes that can transmit West Nile. Then heading into the fall, we deal more with these Aedes mosquitoes or ankle biters. But then what about, and this is one question we get, what about the winter? Do mosquitoes just die off and fly away? They go somewhere warm? And the answer is unfortunately no. They become the threat beneath our feet in the underground storm drain. So I'm gonna actually throw it over to Marco again to talk a little bit more about what they do in the underground storm drain system that makes it so difficult to control for on a day-to-day basis and why we end up being a year-round operation.
Yeah, so Levy, thank you for that. So as he said, the underground storm drain system is one of our, more notorious breeding sites and, heavy adult sites for these mosquitoes. It is also one of the main programs in our department. So we actually have two different crews. They run with 3 vehicles. They have a treatment vehicle and 2 follow vehicles where they are able to safely control any sort of traffic in the area. They'll also go to all these storm drain lids that are, throughout the streets. Typically, you see these manhole covers on the road. As of now, they have about 8,500 lids that they monitor, they inspect, and they treat on a daily basis. They can inspect anywhere from 50 to 60 storm drain lids, and they can perform about 25 to 30 treatments per day. Reason why there's such a nuisance is because, there are these underground areas where water gets fed through by catch basins and leaves these open gaps where the mosquitoes are able to fly through. Some of the infrastructure for the underground systems, unfortunately, is, a little bad it can collect air water in certain pockets because there's divots or there just isn't enough water flowing through them consistently. So it just pockets up for a while. And you have this kind of dark, cooler environment where the mosquitoes love to harbor. It's humid, so they can be there year round. California doesn't necessarily have a crazy cold winter, so it still stays relatively warm for them down there. And yeah, I mean, if you'd like to, I can kind of show you a little presentation of how they go through their inspection and treatments.
Yeah, take us on the magic school bus ride. Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Let me turn the camera around and I have the crew ready to go. So right here, we have the crew kind of pulling up. That truck right there is the inspection treatment truck. I think they're just watching out for traffic right now. There's an oncoming car. So safety is our main priority when it comes to this program, specifically just because they're dealing a lot with, high traffic areas. So that's why it's important that we have crews for this and not just necessarily one person doing it at one time. So right here, this yellow vehicle is our lead vehicle. You can see it's very bright, has the boards on top, and it has a machinery out back. We have the first follow vehicle, and then we have the second follow vehicle. Right now, what they're gonna do is Manny's gonna get out. He's our person in the main truck over here. He's gonna get out, make sure that he can watch out for any traffic on the front side. We have Joseph right here about to go and pop the lid to do an inspection. And then we have Nate over here on the backside, making sure that he can stop or slow down any traffic with this sign. We can go over here to the lid. Let me just slow down a little bit. If Joseph can just flash the light a little bit down there. It's right here, this particular one happened to be necessary, but as you can see, this is just one of many that followed throughout this entire street. So this whole street is lined with these drains that run throughout, and they lead into eventually one of the flood channel areas where the water then goes into the ocean. But we can kind of go through a treatment right now. Joseph's going to show us about how that works. Joseph, about how long does the treatment last?
About 25 seconds.
So it takes about 25 seconds for the treatment to go through. In total, what would you say is the average time for a treatment from the moment you pull up to when you leave?
Like about a minute.
So they can get through, it takes them about a minute just to go through and do one treatment. So as you can see, they're very efficient. They know exactly what they're doing at all times, always being aware of any traffic that's coming by. But this right here is our wand. It gets fed with our product and then some air as well, making sure that it gets all put down into the underground conveyance system. Right here, it's just blowing air right now for the sake of an example of the treatment. And we'll just cut it a little short, just so we can show you guys, but you're good right here now, Joseph. Make sure he gets it on there securely so it doesn't fall off as they're going through to their next site. You watch out for any oncoming traffic. And then he will direct the guys once he's all done so they can move on to their next site. So I'll take a step back so we can see that all in action. So right there, he's communicating with both the guys on their walkie-talkies. They gave him the okay, go. And now they're on their way to the next storm drain. So again, this is a program that goes year round just because of what they're finding in these underground systems. They're always breeding, and we do have 2 crews. So, they can get to anywhere from 120 lids and perform 60 treatments per day combined. They're very proactive when it comes to responding to any sort of viruses like West Nile. They're typically the very first crew to go out there. They'll pull up all that data. They'll go to these areas and then make sure that all these storm drain systems have been treated or at least inspected. But yeah, that's kind of the run through what the underground program is. If you have any questions, Levy?
Yeah, I have one. So I understand that we call it the storm drain system, but some residents may just see it as just drains that lead to the ocean. Now, I know we're very different out here in San Gabriel Valley and Laverne, but are there certain parts of San Gabriel Valley that tends to be more troublesome because the drains don't always flow, it's not graded correctly, or because of tectonic shifts, there might be issues in certain parts? Are there like certain areas of our district that needs more attention?
It's pretty even throughout the district. Yeah, there are certain areas, especially where we do get, the yearly consistent West Nile viruses, and they pop these lids and they're consistent breeders. So, but like kind of like what you said, a lot of it just has to do with the infrastructure that might have kind of shifted from, like the plate tectonics or kind of movement. But it's kind of like that throughout the entire district, to be honest.
So if a resident were to see that, honestly, okay, right off the bat, I love the fact that it's bright yellow. I would never have it on my car, but it definitely is a great safety measure. What should residents do if they see those 3 vehicles out there in front of them?
What they for sure want to do is make sure that they're being safe around them, make sure that they're slowing down, letting them, let them take their time. They're out there performing treatments to make sure that the residents are being safe. So, just show them respect. You can give them a little hi. They're always going to be very polite and say it back to you. But yeah, it's just always safety first. Just slow down when you see any vehicle, especially if, we have our lights on in all of them. You can see the bright green one or yellow one. But yeah, just make sure you're being safe around them.
Cool. And since it is a year-round operation, so that I guess it's mindful, even in the dead of winter or even near the holidays, you can see these folks driving around the district, monitoring for these mosquitoes. Thank you, Marco, for the awesome magic school bus-like adventure you just gave us. That's really cool. I've seen it happen once or twice before, but this really, being able to take us up close to it like this is really cool. Thank you, Marco.
Of course, I
Super
appreciate
insightful. Thank you.
No problem.
We touched on it a little bit before, and I think even Stephen did as well, on management of mosquitoes around the home. And one thing we know that a lot of residents are aware of is the stagnant water sources can become an issue. So if there's stagnant water, it can cause mosquito issues. And actually talking to a lot of the Laverne residents, you all seem to know that. So we're not going to dive too deep into that, but we do want to talk a little bit about dense vegetation. I'm going to throw it over to Allie a bit. And Allie, why don't you talk to us a bit how dense vegetation contributes to this mosquito issue we might be facing in our homes?
Hi, Levy. Thanks for the introduction. So dense vegetation, what it basically does is it creates this lovely cool area and a bunch of shade for the mosquitoes to rest in. Just like us, when it's hot outside, we don't really want to be out in the heat. We want a place where we can cool off. And that's what mosquitoes do. They rest and they cool off there. And if you've got stagnant water around, it's also the perfect place for them to have, a blood meal, which is where they'll come out and they'll bite you. They'll lay their eggs in the stagnant water nearby, and then they'll go back to their resting place to hide. I actually have a slight example here. I hope you guys can see. But there's actually a big bush right here in front of City Hall. So something that I would recommend if you have something like this, it's very dense and bushy. You want to make sure that you're trimming your bushes so from the ground up so that you can create some airflow. If you have airflow or if you can eliminate all of that dense vegetation, you'll actually reduce your number of mosquitoes and they won't be around to bite you. And ways to do that also, if you can't have someone constantly maintain it, it might be easier for you guys to just landscape it out. And you can do that actually by switching to California native plants.
Awesome. And also California native plants has been pushed a lot too by water agencies, conservancy groups. So it has multiple benefits, including if you choose the right species of plants, you can actually more fireproof your yard. And also, of course, use less water. So Ali, if you're not, I don't know if you're engaged with a resident right now, but what if
Hi, Levy, I am. Sorry.
Okay, all right, no problem.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead and talk to the residents there. Turn them into a bite back champion if you can. So let's just say they can't switch. Let's say we switched over to California natives, and let me see if I can get let's see, try and get this view here differently here so I can change the highlight. Okay, here we go. So let's say you landscape your yard to be California natives, you know about the stagnant water, but you're still getting mosquitoes in your yard, or you're still getting bites. The bottom line with living in an urban environment here is that there will always be mosquitoes at a certain level. Our goal is to try and maintain that population of mosquitoes down below a level where it will hopefully prevent any kind of mosquito-borne disease outbreaks. But at the end of the day, we're going to have mosquitoes around. So the best thing we can do is use repellent. Whenever Ali gets back, if she gets back in time, we can probably see how we can see a repellent demonstration. But in the meantime, one question we get asked a lot by residents is which repellent ingredients actually work? Ali, are you back with us? All right. Oh, we're just talking about repellent.
I just lost the mute button. Okay. I actually ran into someone who used to be a part of Greater LA Vector Control. So that was really interesting. So we have someone who knows who's doing their civic duty out there. I think you were talking about repellent.
Absolutely. And then we get questions on like which repellent is the best? What should they look for when they go into a store?
Yeah, those are really good questions. I myself can sometimes be very overwhelmed because you just get hit in the aisles with like a wall of color. But the easy thing to remember is not to go so much for the color or the brand, but to go for the ingredients. The ingredients, well, actually, before I get into that, now, especially that it's warmer still, and we do live in Southern California, we do tend to apply sunscreen a lot. So if you're applying sunscreen, you want to make sure that you are applying that first and that the repellent is going on the top layer onto your skin. And you always want to apply this to your skin very evenly. So there's no need to just spray in one particular area. You want to make sure that you're evenly applying it. So the ingredients, like I was saying, will actually appear on the front of the bottle. The ingredients, you can choose one of 4, whichever your choice. They are oil of lemon eucalyptus, DEET, picaridin, and IR 3535. They are all CDC recommended and very safe. And the best part is that, especially if you have children, you can print out that ingredient list on our website by visiting our About Repellent page. And you can take that to your pediatrician. And you can also even take a bottle to your pediatrician to make sure that it's something that, that they think is safe for your child. And then for you guys as well, it'll tell you the percentage rate on the front. And what's interesting is the percentage rate will tell you basically how long it lasts. So if it's a lower number, it's gonna last you a less amount of time and you'll most likely have to reapply, which is okay, depending on the activity that you're doing. If you're just gonna be outside, maybe going shopping or going to grab lunch, you probably don't need 80% of an ingredient. However, if you are going camping or gonna be outside longer, it might be wise for you to have a higher percentage number. And always, just for safe use and instruction, but you wanna make sure that you're reading the directions label on the back and just applying accordingly. And then I just wanted to show you how to apply real quick. So you just wanna make sure that you are applying it evenly. Notice that I didn't just spray it, on my hand or something like that. And then when applying to the face, you wanna make sure that you are spraying into your hand first and then applying, I have a mask on, but just to your face this way. including your neck. Mosquitoes are relentless and they will bite anywhere. I one time didn't have a mask on back in the day and they were actually able to bite my lips. So don't spray your mouth, but make sure that you're getting
wait. You can't just gloss over that. They bit your lip?
They bit my lip. It looks like I got Botox. Like, it's really bad.
Oh my God, I can see this going viral. The new trend in Botox in Beverly Hills.
There you go.
They'll
it's
just
all natural,
put a bunch of mosquitoes on your lip.
Yes, nature at its finest.
Oh, I cannot imagine the pain and from that.
I know, and I kind of wish we had masks then because at least I would have been able to hide it. So yeah, this is pre-mask days. But anyways, yeah, you don't want to learn, the way I learned. So make sure that you're packing repellent with you, just like we pack our masks and pack our hand sanitizer these days. We make sure that we have repellent on every day when we're outside.
And Allie, I have a quick question. I think a common question that we get a lot is, you mentioned the active ingredients. Is one better than the other? I feel like all I see is DEET most of the time.
That's a good question. Well, DEET is actually like kind of the gold standard. So that's probably why you see it all the time and hear it. But they're all safe and they're all just as effective, which is great. It's really just your preference. Also, it depends. Sometimes I know a lot of people complain about the scent. So they come now in different scents and they're not like they used to be where it's this thick, oily like texture on your skin. This one just feels like water, honestly. And this one is picaridin. So this one I'm using right now and it's 5%. So this one's just really, nice air, like little spray. But they have other ones that come like in lotion. They have some that come in an aerosol spray. So it's really just up to you. And then also what you can find in the stores. Now, if you go to a gardening section or like an outdoor section, you're pretty much at their mercy. But if you go more to like an outdoor store, you might have better luck. But just, to play it safe, you can also order everything online these days. And I'm sure they have a ton of variety on there. But just make sure that you're reading on the front of the bottle that it has one of those 4 active ingredients.
Awesome. Thank you, Allie. One other thing we get every now and then from residents is I want to do more because they know about the issues with mosquitoes, but let's say they want to rally their neighbors in their block. And what is there anything that they can do?
Yes, they can actually sign up on our website at bitebackchampion.org. And they can sign up to be Bite Back Champions. And I know we have a little champion in the training right here, but basically what they do is they're the ones who tend to rally up their neighbors and are just really fed up with it. And they work with us and partner with us in order to come up with solutions that can help their street, that can help their block, that can help their neighborhood. And recently, we've actually been having a lot of residents sign up to receive door hangers from us. So what that is they'll receive door hangers that remind their fellow neighbors to tip out stagnant water, toss the containers if they are unused, and to protect themselves. And that's just one of a couple of different ways that they can, bite mosquitoes back. Another way is that they can just also same thing, but just pick a different avenue on how they want to bite back is just by receiving emails. And then another way is just, to rally up neighbors and that way have us come out to them and we can just, teach them like we're teaching you guys right now. And that the way they can learn about mosquitoes and their diseases.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Allie. And if you're just tuning in, you're watching the Bite Back Tour in the city of Laverne. Unfortunately, the time has come for us to wrap this up. So we're going to head into closing remarks. Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm gonna go ahead and go around our gallery here. And let's see, first up, let's see, Marco, any closing remarks for Laverne?
Yeah, everybody just make sure you guys are wearing your repellent when you're out there and just be safe. Make sure when you see these underground crews out there that you're abiding by all traffic laws and slowing down for them. They're doing their job out there for the public, so it's important that we keep them safe. So that way they can get back to their families.
Okay, Pablo?
Yeah, just like what was reiterated today, making sure that we're all tipping out stagnant water, tossing any unused containers, and protecting ourselves using effective mosquito repellent, and making that part of our weekly habit. We always say, just do a quick scan of your yard when you're out throwing out the trash, and that can make a big difference in all of our communities. And especially for our community in the city of Laverne, I'm actually a University of Laverne alumni, so I know the downtown area very well, and there's great places to eat there. So as soon as you leave your car, put on some mosquito repellent, and then you can have a great lunch outside.
Awesome, thank you. Jimena?
Oh, I'm already unmuted. I want to remind everyone, we're out there doing our surveillance on our end, and we do share this information with everyone. We have Pablo and we have Levy out here that are really good about communicating all of the things that we're finding out in your neighborhood. So please check our website, keep yourselves informed, and inform your neighbors. And also, if you see anything of concern, please report. Let us know if you see something so that we can add it to our system if it's not already there, or so that we can be aware of it. And we thank you for all of you that already do that. But thank you, Elise, actually for mentioning that there is activity in the neighborhood, but definitely remember to keep up with what's going on in your area.
Awesome. Thank you, Jimena. And Stephen?
Thanks again to everyone for doing their part. And it takes a group effort to get the best out of the results when we're trying to control the mosquitoes. So it's kind of all Marco and Pablo mentioned, just check your property, spread information to your neighbors or reference us. Or the website, because we have a lot of information there. They can get anything we've said is pretty much on there as well. So just, keep an eye out for mosquitoes and wear your repellent.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely correct. And the shared responsibility of mosquito control. Allie, and then we'll go on to Trustee Rasmussen, Dr.
Hi, everyone. I just want to remind you guys to wear repellent when you guys are outdoors, especially now that you're experts on how to figure out how to use repellent. But also for all the students and all the teachers and families who have children, also to check out our vector education programs. And you can do so by visiting vectoreducation.org. And we also have more information on our website that can take you there. And if you liked what you saw here today, you can only imagine how much better and how awesome it is for the kids to learn about mosquitoes.
Awesome. Thank you, Allie. And finally, Trustee Rasmussen.
I just want to say we appreciate you guys so much. I'm going to speak on behalf of the city and all of the residents here in Laverne. You guys give great tips. We appreciate these tours. Everyone remember to tip and toss where the repellents that you guys are recommending. We're so grateful. I kind of think you guys are unsung heroes. People don't understand how much is truly done to prevent and control mosquitoes and the infections that they spread. So thank you guys so very much for putting this on.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And then to Laverne, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you're watching live. If not, you're watching a recording of this. Just remember to stay healthy and stay bite free. Bye, everyone.